Param Vijayate Shri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam, total world victory of Hare Krishna. My name is Sitapati Das, and this is Bhagavad-gītā As It Is 331. Bhagavad-gītā, the Song of God, as it is by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga, text number 31. Let's go. Ye me matam idaṁ nityam anutiṣṭhanti mānavāḥ śraddhāvanto śraddhāvanto nasūyanto mucyante te karmabhiḥ. Yea, those, may, my, matam, injunctions, idam, this, nityam, eternal function, anutiṣṭhanti, execute regularly, mānavāḥ, humankind, śraddhāvantaḥ, with faith and devotion, anasūyantaḥ, without envy, mucyante, become free, te, of all of them, api, even, karmabhiḥ, from the bondage of the law of fruitive action. Translation. One who executes his duties according to my injunctions and who follows this teaching faithfully without envy becomes free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Purport. The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom and therefore is eternally true without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Kṛṣṇa consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad-gītā, but have no faith in Kṛṣṇa. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Kṛṣṇa consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely, without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Let me have a look at the differences. One who executes his duties goes to those persons who execute their duties. Why? Those injunctions, idam, this, eternal function, execute regularly. Mānavāḥ, humankind. Okay, what did Srila Prabhupada write? Right, 331. One who executes his prescribed duties. One who executes his duties. Those persons who execute their duties. Further away from Prabhupada. Not closer to the manuscript. Next. Okay, that's the only change there. And there's no justification for that given in here because those changes were done post 1983. That change completely violates the closer to the Prabhupada, closer to the manuscript doctrine propaganda. Okay, edition 1. You follow it faithfully without envy, you become free. An ordinary man with firm faith, even though unable to execute the orders, becomes liberated. In the beginning, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure consciousness. So this very obviously applies to things like four regulative principles, for example. It's a principle you can apply across the board, even to understanding the instructions or the worldview that's given. You don't have to be able to accept it. You might be like, oh, I don't agree with it. But that doesn't matter. You are that, you know what, I don't agree with this, but I'm not going to, but that doesn't actually mean anything. or I'm unable to follow it myself personally, or people will think I'm weird if I do it. All of those kind of things should transform into, I'm just not, perfected myself. One may not be able to follow all the things, but they can still understand what's possible. For example, Srila Prabhupada might say, get farms, live simply, stop living in the city, grow your own food. You may not be able to do it, but it doesn't mean that you come up with a new philosophy that says, oh, well, Prabhupada was just culturally conditioned from India, or because of his participation in the Gandhi independence movement, and so that's why he said that stuff, and so, therefore we're going to cut that piece out. That's the logic of half a hen. It's called Kukuti Nyaya. Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. Kukuti means a chicken. Ardha means half of, and Nyaya means logic. So the logic of half a hen. A farmer has this hen, the hen lays the eggs, the farmer trades the eggs in the marketplace for other things. We trade our eggs from our hens here, mostly for milk, or we just give them to people and for goodwill. And so that's great, but at the same time, we have to feed the chickens. I've got to buy this chook layer pellets and stuff and feed them all costly. I know if I could just keep the half of the hen that lays the egg and get rid of the front half that eats food and costs me money, then it will just be all profit. So that's the logic of half a hen. The farmer thinks he's going to cut the hen in half, and somehow he's going to get the eggs without having to pay for it to eat. So that's faulty logic, because you cut the hen in half, you kill it. In the same way here, it's like if you draw some kind of distinction in that way and you take the things that you can't follow and you want to cut them out, modify the whole thing, rather than just being like, I can't follow that, you kill the whole thing. But here, the point is that if you just have faith in it, in the purport, in the translation, Kṛṣṇa says, one who executes his duty as according to my injunctions and follows this teaching faithfully without envy becomes free from the bondage of fruitive actions. So he's like, if you just do the thing, you'll become free from bondage. But in the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a further promise that, in the beginning, you might not be able to fully discharge it. But if you're not resentful of the principle and you work sincerely, you'll surely be promoted to the stage of pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. What a great, it's a principle, but it's also a promise, and that Srila Prabhupada's written it in his purport. So there you go. Contemporary application. You might not be able to understand everything that's in here. You might not agree with everything in here, but you just hold it in abeyance. Like Srila Prabhupada says at the beginning, one should theoretically accept Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, just as Arjuna does. So the way of understanding the Gita is given in the Gita in itself, in the way that Arjuna understands Kṛṣṇa. He accepts him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one should theoretically accept Kṛṣṇa as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the way of understanding Bhagavad-gītā as it is. So one should take the same approach to the purports. The whole thing. That is the hermeneutic of Bhagavad-gītā as it is, to accept it as it is. Not to invent another philosophy, another interpretive meta layer on top of it. Of course you can do that. So many people had done that to the Bhagavad-gītā before Srila Prabhupada published his Bhagavad-gītā as it is. So many Bhagavad-gītas there. I was distributing Bhagavad-gītā door to door in New Zealand in 97 or something. It's happened. And it was 97. It was during the Prabhupada marathon of 97, the Christmas marathon. And I knocked on this house door, showed them the Gita, and I was a new devotee at the time, and they said, oh, I've already got a Gita and it's better, it's the best Gita translation. And then they closed the door, and then I remembered afterwards, I was like, I should have said, it's not the best Gita translation because there were so many Gita translations before Srila Prabhupada's Gita, but they didn't make any devotees. No devotees of Kṛṣṇa. Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā, thousands, hundreds of thousands of devotees of Kṛṣṇa. That's the power of Bhagavad-gītā as it is. And one should take Prabhupada as he is as well. The same hermeneutical strategy that Prabhupada is saying what he's saying, and that is what it is. Not an interpretive strategy on top of what Prabhupada says. Well, no, I'm going to Ada Kukuti Nyaya, half of the hen, take this half of what Prabhupada says and throw the other half away. I don't agree with everything that Prabhupada says because I don't follow everything that Prabhupada says. But it doesn't mean that I invent a strategy to minimize or do away with the parts of it that I don't follow. I'm just like, I'm not up to that standard yet. And in that way, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat or hopelessness, he'll surely be promoted to the stage of pure Kṛṣṇa consciousness. We don't want to pull down the bar to where we are. We want to pull ourselves up to the bar. And then we don't want people's popular acceptance. We don't care what they say. You can like it, you can not like it. It is what it is. You'll deal with it. We're not out for, we're not playing for popular opinion. We're playing to please the spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, to the Te Reo. We're on 331. Go. Drawing from A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's Bhagavad-gītā. It's used the second edition here. And then we're going to go backwards to make sure that we got a good translation. So, Vishnu Fakatutuki. Those who follow my divine instructions with faith and without skepticism are freed from the bondage of action's results. It's very good. Yeah, skepticism. Without envy, without skepticism. Good. Ko te hanga e whai ana I aku tohu tohu atua me te pono kaore I te kai whakatangitangi ka whakawatia I te here o na mahi ngā mahi hua. Fruitive. Mahi ngā mahi hua. Fruitive actions. Ko te hanga. Those. Ko te hanga. That reminds me of a Billy T. James sketch from the 80s. He was giving Māori, Te Reo Māori class. He said, ka antenna. It's called a ko te hanga. Ko te hanga, but it means those. E, who, whai ana, follow. I in aku, my, tohu tohu, instructions, atua, divine. Me with te pono, faithfully. Whakapono, to make faithfully. Causative. Kaore, not I in te the, kai whakatangitangi, envy, ka, will, whakawatea, become free, I from te the, here, bondage, or of na, the, mahi, actions, hua, fruitive. Ko te honga, e whai ana I aku tohu tohu, atua me te pono. Kaore I te kai whakatangitangi, ka whakawatea, I te here o ngā mahi hua. Reo translation. And in Sanskrit again, Ye me matam idaṁ nityam anutiṣṭhanti mānavāḥ śraddhāvanto nasūyanto mucyante pi karmabhiḥ. One who executes his duties according to my injunctions and who follows this teaching faithfully without envy becomes free from the bondage of fruitive actions. You know what? I wonder if ChatGPT is capable of doing this. This is going to be next level. ChatGPT 4. Please make following video paragraph into a, what is it called? A poem, a rhyming metric poem. See if we can do this. No, but do it in, please render it in as a poem. Yeah, I mean, it did a pretty good job. Okay. What? No way. Ko te hanga e whai te rā, tohu atua, pone nā, ono nā, kaore I te waiata he, whakawātea nā here e. Wow. Ko te hunga, ko te hanga, tohu, hunga. Ko te hunga e whai e te rā. Tohu atua pono nā. Kaore I te waiata he, whakawātea nā here e. Wow. Okay. Epic. Absolutely epic. So I think the way to present this would be to present this part and then to present this part. Okay. This one I'll keep as well. Incredible. ChatGPT 4. Param Vijayate Sri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. Total world victory of Hare Kṛṣṇa.